tycoons on the left to the megas on the right. They know I'm beating Kamala. This race won't even be tied. Her policies are nutso. She's out of goddamn mind. She just repeats the same thing, regurgitating her lines. She thinks that immigration without paperwork is good. Clearly not too much power underneath Kamala's hood. Borders are, it's what you are. Borders are.
Cackling Kamala, or is it Kamala? Borders are. So that song was actually requested by my brother today. Yeah, because we went with the kitty cat and dog song the last 2 weeks, but we wanted to make sure that we had this one. How you doing, Abigail?
I'm doing just fine, Arden.
Welcome to We Are a Crotchety Old Man
and a Woman,
the podcast for you, with you, and sometimes even about you. So we have a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully we can get through this jam-packed show without me making a fool of myself. But before I do, I just want to do a couple of little notes here. We had our second biggest amount of downloads last week. And guess what? We went global again. Every continent was hit. Not too shabby.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So with that, we're gonna jump right in, and today is National Strawberry Cream Pie Day. Any reaction to that?
Yuck.
Yeah. You know what? I've never had a strawberry cream pie, and I probably never will. But anyway, tomorrow's the big day. You know what tomorrow is? That's Sunday for those where we are. Tomorrow is National Coffee Day.
Wow.
Yep. So I am celebrating National Coffee Day a day early by having some nice, delicious basement coffee. French vanilla basement coffee, the best coffee you can have.
It is your favorite, Arden.
It is.
It is your favorite.
It is. So a lot better than the salted caramel basement coffee. That tastes like old feet sometimes. So do you mind if I jump into some history?
No, I do not.
Did you have like a timeline for me?
Yes, let's start off with what happened in 1066.
1066, very important day, as William the Duke of Normandy invaded England. So kind of the reverse of the Normandy invasion in World War II. England was invaded from France. 16 days later after he invades, he is pronounced King of England. Pretty amazing. He conquered England in 16 days.
I guess that is amazing. We're going to move into something a little controversial that I think you'll have a lot to say about. But what happened in 1542 on this day?
California was discovered by Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo. He landed right near where San Diego is found, so all of those people who said that San Diego really belongs to Mexico, actually it belongs to Spain. So, but what really irks me, how working in HR, all the OFCCP compliance, it always asks you why, and the EEOC compliance, they're always asking you, are you Spanish or Latino? Why does that matter? It's the only nationality they actually write out. Are you? Yes, no. And if you say no, then you have to choose from all of these other ones. Very odd. Sorry, it irks me.
That is odd.
Yeah, I mean, like, why? Like, so, and also, like, now, this is not racist, but why are people from Spain not considered white? Because they're all from Europe. Isn't Spain part of Europe?
That's an interesting fact. I thought you would just go off because it's fucking California.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is California. Which, by the way, if we literally, yeah, I know you're dropping F-bombs.
Sorry.
Great, now we got to.
Sorry, Arden's mom.
Yeah, and I also have to now click the button and it has bad words in it. But anyway, moving on.
Okay, Arden, in 1781, what happened in this day in history?
So possibly one of my favorite places to visit. I drag Abigail kicking and screaming there every year. The Yorktown, Virginia siege happened, which pretty much was the end of the American Revolution. And I drag her down every year, and we walk around and see the sights. It's pretty cool. Every person on the East Coast should do it at least once.
I tend to stay in the car.
What else do we got?
All right, in 1939.
1939, Warsaw, Poland, falls to Germany. So Poland was pretty much getting itself knocked out of the war. And was it actually like, when was it actually called World War II? Interesting conversation, because England and France declared war, but they weren't. I don't know if they were really fighting yet, because the World War One was the war to end all wars. So did they just say this is World War II? Just wondering. Anyway,
moving on to 1940.
Literally, the very next year, the Tripartite Pact was signed by Germany, Italy, and Japan. Now, the Battle of Britain, I think, just ended already. And the Germans they weren't knocked back, but they couldn't take out the Air Force of England. And they were worried America was going to enter the war. And then they became the Axis, and all the Allied troops became the Allies.
Okay, we're jumping way ahead in time to 2008.
So this one is pretty important. Might be one of the most important things that happens that none of us really care that much about now. But 100 years from now, it could be a big day. SpaceX launches Falcon 1, the first private rocket that was liquid fueled to fly into space.
Now, did it stay in space, or did it come back and land like some of the newer ones?
No, it went into the water. But it was a success, which led to this actually happening now. So without that, SpaceX, if that had failed, SpaceX may not have happened. And now we're actually starting to get average people are now going into space. Kind of crazy.
It really is.
So I think we were jumping into sports now, or
no.
Oh, that's right. I'm getting ahead of myself. Only because, you know why I'm getting ahead of myself?
Why, Arden?
Because it's the political season, and I've already voted. Thanks to early voting.
To my dismay.
So I am, once again, I know I came out last week and said, the what if statement. We just had a hurricane rip through Florida. At least 40 people are dead. If they literally waited till election day, their 40 votes wouldn't count.
That's a little morbid, don't you think?
We have to win at all costs. But it's the what if. November could have a hurricane. Your car could have a flat tire. One of the puppy dogs might be pooping in the house. Something may cause you not to vote. So if your state has early voting, do it. The what if situation. You buy insurance for a car for the what if situation, but you're not doing the what if to go vote. The pageantry is over until we get it back. Then when we win and take over both houses, let's change the rules and make it. I was listening to a gentleman the other day, said, you know what? How about a compromise? Early voting the weekend before. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's it.
I think that's okay. But, I'm still a staunch believer in voting on election day.
Except the what if. What if there's a snowstorm and you're going to go out there and fight there? And I'm picturing my mom, who's 88 years old, cleaning the car off from snow because I got to vote. She's going to be there with her little walker and skis, being pulled by a sled dog. Poor grandma. Yeah, so I voted. I'm recommending everyone, if you have it in your state, do it. Get it done now. And then you don't have to worry about it.
Duly noted. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next segment up is sports.
So kind of going back to the history, in 1920, you might remember like Joe Jackson being part of the Black Sox scandal.
Yeah, I believe we discussed it on one of our podcasts
We did.
previously.
We did, but today was the day they actually got indicted. So
Oh,
they threw the World Series, but yet they played a whole other year. People forget that. They didn't just throw the World Series and then end up disappearing. They actually played the next year and didn't win the World Series either. So a little interesting tidbit there. So,
okay. And then I heard while I was getting my hair done today that there was a special accolade for the White Sox.
correct. So the same White Sox who threw the World Series, aka the Black Sox, who knew all this time later, over 100 years later, they would then have the worst record of all time. They lost 121 games as of yesterday.
Okay, so how many did they win?
My math sucks. What, they win like 30 something
Wow.
or something like that?
That's got to be humiliating.
Well, the expansion New York Mets in 1962 held the record. They were an expansion team. They didn't get anyone. They had guys who were like every team lost one crappy player, and that team won now more games than these guys.
Wow.
They're professionals. They suck.
Okay, and what's happening? Are they the Oakland A's? I don't remember.
Oh, so the Oakland A's just had their final game in Oakland, and now they are now going to be in Sacramento for the next couple of years while their permanent residence in Las Vegas is being built. But they don't have the name Sacramento A's. They're just going to be the A's.
As in Abigail.
As in Abigail and Arden. We're the A's.
Wow.
Whoa. Didn't even
Okay.
notice that.
So as the regular season sunsets,
You got playoffs.
beginning next week.
Let's go Yankees.
I agree. I concur with that.
And what about you? What's going on in the WNBA?
All right. So my Indiana Fever did lose in the first round of the playoffs. It was a best of 3 series, and unfortunately, they lost 2 games in a row. But I have to comment on game 1. Caitlin Clark took a fingernail, and I'm talking about a 2-inch fingernail, hit to the eye from one of the Connecticut Sun players. She ended up having a black eye, had a horrible game, but ultimately they didn't even call a foul. Do you believe that?
I only saw the pictures of her after. I mean, she looked like she got punched in the eye, and she had a gash under her eye, and no foul, and I don't know. Now, I saw I was reading an article out, like they just keep throwing racist remarks at the fans are the Fever fans, and all of the fans are racists now.
All I know
What the
is
hell's going on?
the players that put on this makeup and these extended eyelashes, and in this case, nails that are 2 inches long. That is ridiculous. The league needs to make a rule that they cannot have their nails longer than whatever.
How does that affect the ball? Like if
I
you're dribbling,
know, I agree, and how they shoot and
Yeah.
everything.
maybe it adds a little curve to the ball.
Maybe, but it should be illegal.
Yeah, and I don't know, and I want to see what if the ratings tank now? Now that the Fever are out, will the ratings plummet?
I think they're going to.
And then will the league say, let's end this racism talk now? Or are they just going to just let it go?
I don't know.
Anyway.
So overall, professional and college football are well underway.
Yep.
And I must say, Arden, even though I'm a big NFL fan overall, I don't think I've watched more than a few minutes of a game the entire season.
I was surprised that you didn't want to watch it last week. Like the year before, you were like, yeah, I got to watch the game. And this year, you're not. I mean, I'm not watching it at all. But
I didn't even watch the Cowboy game the other night. Did they win? I don't even know.
No idea. Couldn't tell you. Don't care.
I don't know. I've just been busy lately.
You have been a busy little beaver.
Right. And then, the new thing now is that the NHL is actually in preseason.
Yep. Rangers are undefeated in preseason. Not that matters.
I guess the whole thing is about sports right now is they're all back overall.
Except for the NBA.
Yeah, the NBA, but
that no one cares
we don't
about.
care about.
Nope.
But, there's that, that death blow when you end what season where it becomes no sports?
Oh, that's like in weird, it's like March March only has.
After March Madness.
Yeah, there's not. Well, that's when my UFL starts.
Oh, so I guess it's
Yeah, all year round. I got something.
But the real sports.
Oh,
are
wow.
all going on right now.
Wow. When does cornhole season start? That's an axe throwing. Those are the real big sports. And pretty soon, pickleball will be shown on every ESPN contest. So, what else do we got going on today? As I'm reading my.
I think it's time for Ask Abigail, and
I
don't know what he's gonna hit.
Hold on, I got my magic paper here. Let's see. Ask Abigail. Abigail, we would like to know your thoughts on how Israel is dealing with Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran. Are you for it? Are you against it? Or should there be a ceasefire now?
Arden, there's no debate. I am for the attacks on all three of those parties. And Israel should not be restrained. They should be able to take them all out. And I think it's pretty impressive how their military and their, what do they call it? Not the KGB, obviously. What do they call?
Oh, for who? The Israelis?
Yeah, what do they call?
Is it the Mossad?
The Mossad. Fantastic.
Amazing.
And,
absolutely amazing.
And then what did our idiot president say, Arden? What did he say?
Oh,
today?
He was demanding a ceasefire now. We have to have a ceasefire. We must have a two-state solution.
All I know is Israel is knocking them out one by one with their leadership.
Right.
And Iran says they're going to retaliate.
What's Iran going to do?
Yeah, what are they going to do? Huh?
I mean, there's probably a little red dot on somebody's head right now, just waiting for the call. Okay, sir, I'll take him out. No problem.
Yeah, so, I mean, my position is very clear. That the U.S. should just stay out of it, and Israel should be able to take on any and all vengeance against their enemies, which is the entire Middle East.
Right, everyone. It's the only democracy in the entire Middle East, and yet our president and our vice president and most, not all, there's a few, of the Democrat Party hate them.
How are the school protests? Are they still continuing?
They're still around. They're not being covered as much, but Columbia still has a problem again. All the Ivy League schools have a problem. I think the University of Maryland had a little issue, I think.
Really?
I think it was not nearly as bad. They're more focusing on their academic dean. One of the heads of the school may have been plagiarizing stuff, so that got more in the news.
Okay, so this was supposed to be Ask Abigail.
Sorry,
but no, it's
you
okay.
asked me a question.
This is one of the shortest segments for me because I've said pretty much everything I wanted to say.
Okay, well, Abigail does not know the questions beforehand, so I did have to throw that at her, and I was amazed. I mean, I thought Netanyahu was just going to walk over to people and start fighting at the UN today. I was ready for him. I was ready for him to get 10-minute misconduct, 5 minutes for fighting. That's a hockey reference for all of those people in other countries. Because did you see how many countries actually listened to our program? We had like over 30. It was insane. Anyway.
So I have a segment that I dug up today because I read an interesting article.
Oh, okay. Tell me that. I know nothing about this.
Our listeners may not know, but we're from Generation X, right, Arden?
Yes, D Generation X back in the day.
Oh, so I came across an article about iconic moments that most Gen X's should remember.
Okay.
And potentially remember where they were at. But it's pretty interesting because when I went down the list, they are all items that I clearly remember.
Do you know how many there are? Offhand? Was it like 50, 100?
No, it was just 10.
Oh, okay. So we can go through all 10. We have time.
Well, what do you think the number one is?
Oh, for us? So what is Generation X is what, 1965, I think?
I just know it's that this is my generation. I do not know the range.
Okay. I mean, for me, it would probably be 9/11.
Bingo.
Nice. Diesel. I'm flexing. You can't see me, but I'm flexing. Not
And
very
I
well.
know you won't remember for everyone where you were at, but
That
I
one I do.
remember my father calling me and waking me up, and he said, "We're at war." And then I turned on the TV, and it was just horrific. How about you, Arden?
Well, this is kind of scary. So I was actually living in New Jersey, and I was in Lodi, New Jersey, and I would actually have to take Route 3, which is a highway, and it actually heads to New York City. I turned on the news, and I saw the first plane crashed already. And I get in my car, and as I'm driving, I'm looking straight at the World Trade Center, and I called my brother, and I leave him a voicemail, and I see a little teeny speck was the second plane. So I actually saw that from the highway.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And then having here, and I have way too many stories that day, but we actually, all the bridges and tunnels were closed. And where I worked, we had a lot of New York City employees who worked there. I had to actually invite them, and they stayed in my apartment. I had like 8 or 9 people in my apartment that night
Wow.
because they couldn't go home.
Okay, well,
Wow.
we better move along.
Yeah, I could talk about that way too much.
So the next one is when the Challenger spaceship exploded.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that one.
That one is very crisp in my mind because I
Really?
know I was at CCD.
What's CCD?
It's basically a school for Catholic people that
Oh.
don't go to Catholic school.
Okay.
So it's Sunday school,
Got
but
it.
they call it CCD.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I'm sure my sister remembers because we're about the same age and we were probably just in different classrooms.
Got it.
So then there's one that I just didn't think was a big deal, but there was Y2K. Remember, everybody was worried about that?
Oh, okay. I was in New York City watching the little ball drop when it happened, hammered out of my mind. And I do remember it because there were so many people thought the world was going to end. And where was I? New York City in Times Square. The only time, and I never will do that again.
I don't blame you, Arden.
Yep, I was one of those dumbasses. And you couldn't drink back then either. So I was sober and freezing my ass off. Freaking boopadoodles.
All right, this one's a combination, but O.J. Simpson with the Bronco chase, followed by the verdict of his trial. Now, I do remember for the Bronco chase, I was at my mother-in-law's house and watching that. And I guess I may have been at work when the verdict came out. But I don't really, that's a little fuzzy for me. Arden, you probably don't have much to say about that.
Actually, we went to a bar. Everybody in my office, we sat at a bar. We were watching it. And I just remember people were dropping some F-bombs that day, and I didn't really care,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
So another thing that happened was the death of, well, Princess Diana, even though she wasn't a princess. I guess what really caught me about that, again, I mentioned it on previous podcasts, all these total strangers crying, bawling, laying flowers, even in the U.S. I just don't get it.
Well, where do you lay flowers if you're in the U.S.? Like, do you just like put them outside?
I don't. I just remember everybody was mourning, and it was just ridiculous.
Okay, wait. Is the wedding on the list?
Believe it or not, no.
Okay.
But that was definitely a moment.
Okay, that I remember. I remember that not vividly, but I was a littler kid.
I remember her ugly, ugly, ugly dress.
Rude.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I was at my aunt's house and watching it with my aunt and my mom. I think you know what? Daniel may have even been there. He actually, yeah, because every once in a blue moon he would go with me to places. So I think I dragged him. Yeah, I think we had to watch the wedding because it was so rare. But yeah, that's okay. So who wrote this? Probably some Gen Z person wrote this. Okay.
The next one is a show that I watched maybe 75% of the time, but there was Seinfeld's season finale.
What?
I don't remember where I was at, but I did watch it.
Okay. Seinfeld, not MASH, which was like the biggest show ever, not Who Shot JR on Dallas. Seinfeld? Okay, that's retarded. Who wrote this list?
All right, and this one's my favorite.
Okay, what number are we on? Because we got to speed it along, so I just want to...
Well, I'm going to just keep going, okay?
Okay,
Don't
you
tell
take
me
it.
what number it is. I don't need to tell you that.
Damn it.
Anyways, a night I will never forget, and probably one of the greatest nights of my life. Sorry, Arden.
Yeah,
Was the night
wow.
that Trump beat Hillary Clinton. I ate it all up, watching all
Oh,
those newscasters on all those different channels. They practically started crying.
I think some did. A lot of them did. I couldn't stay up all night. I went to bed, I think, at like 2:30 in the morning or something like that. I find
Mm.
because I had to get up early and go to work. But yeah, that was a good one.
All right, and then Desert Storm.
Oh, that was a good one.
What was that general called? Arnold?
Oh, Schwarzkopf. I
Yeah.
liked him, but he didn't want to be political. He didn't want to run.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that was. I remember walking down the stairs and yelling to my sister, "Holy shit, we're at war again!" We're. I was like, I mean, we had been preparing. Now it was scary because it happened. Like there was Desert Shield and Desert Storm. It was in January. I was actually off from college. I was home, but I had a couple guys in my class who were there.
Hmm.
So I actually did know a bunch of guys. When they came back, the one guy was kind of effed up a little in mentally, like for what he saw. But anyway,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, and my last one is really affiliated with the movie we saw last week, and that was Ronald Reagan's assassination
Oh
attempt.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good one.
that was pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know because I was a little kid. I just remember the crossing guard going to school told me, and I didn't know. Like I'm walking to school, and she said, "Ronald, the president was shot," and I'm like, I don't know how old I was. Must have been like 10. It
I
was.
think it was in 1981.
I still, yeah. So I might have been either 10 or 11 because that's
It
a
may have been 1980, but I
yeah,
don't remember.
yeah. It's 81. Yeah, but that's hold on. So wait, there's a
That's
lot
it,
missing.
but I think there's one that
There's a lot that are. You got wait. Are you telling me the Miracle on Ice is not there? Who the F and F
wow.
is not there? That is honestly one of the most important. I mean, talking about like the fall of the Soviet Union. That was literally a kick to the nuts of the Soviets. Literally, a college hockey players beat the greatest team in the world.
I agree, Arden. That
That's,
was a great moment.
I mean, just
in as far as taking pride in the USA,
oh man,
you can't beat it.
can you imagine a team from Europe, playing basketball and beating our dream team? That's the same level.
Agreed.
Oh, Seinfeld. I'm tired. Who wrote this list? Hey,
So, anyways,
I'm throwing my pen
I
down.
enjoyed the article because
Ah.
I do remember all those incidents.
It did have a bunch. And I weirdly with well, I mean, for some Generation X, yeah, they would have been kids. But like Woodstock, Vietnam, like the older kids. I mean, we were kind of in the later part of, Generation X. But, the kids born in the 60s, they would have remembered Vietnam and all those things. But anyway, and Nixon resigning. Okay, enough of that. I'm sorry. I can go on and on and on. I'm fired up.
All right. So, I think now we're going into true false or what?
Yes, it's been gone for a couple of weeks, and Mr. N in the Bronx actually sent me a text, and he said, "Why are we stopping the true false?" And I'm like, "No." So we have time for it, and because it's election season, I decided let's have some fun with Abigail's knowledge on Donald Trump.
Ooh.
Once again, I don't let her prepare for these things. So now, by the way, looking stuff up is very difficult because if you put in like fun facts about Donald Trump, they're written by ultra liberals. My brother hates when I use that term, ultra liberals. I'm not talking about Democrat writers. I'm talking about ultra liberal who hate Donald Trump. So it was hard to get anything that was slightly positive. So ready? Number one, Trump at age 13 was sent to the New York Military Academy at age 13.
False.
That is true.
Damn, I'm off to a bad start.
His parents actually thought he was rebellious. Okay, in 1989, Trump the Game came out, which was their version of Monopoly. His version of Monopoly.
89?
1989.
I'm going to go with true.
That is true. Okay, in number three, Trump does not drink alcohol because his sister died of a heart attack due to alcoholism?
False. It was his brother.
Nice job. That was a trick question. Number 4. He was a owner of the USFL New Jersey Stars.
False.
That is correct. He was the owner of the New Jersey Generals. Number 5. He actually attended the wedding of Chelsea Clinton. Yeah, I wonder if she ever gave him back the money he gave her. Anyway, that is true. He has been married 4 times.
I gotta think about this. He's been married 3 times.
That is correct. You're kicking tuckus now. He had attended Fordham University.
Ooh, I know he went to Penn. He went to Penn.
Same Penn? That is incorrect. Even though that was actually a trick question, he went to Fordham and then transferred to Wharton School of Business.
Well,
he never went
Pennsylvania.
to Penn. In Pennsylvania, but it's a different school.
I mean, I was thinking that.
You had the right thought, though. He has, now these are a little tough, the next 3. He has appeared in 15 movies.
Oh, shit. This is just a guess.
Well, he got a 50-50 chance.
False.
The answer is true. He has been in 15 movies. Sitting on I'll make this a little bit easier. He has been in over 20 television shows, including his own.
I mean, he's been on radio a lot. I'm going to say false.
It is true. He's been on 20 different, including like Different Strokes and obviously The Apprentice, but he's been in 20 different shows. And finally, he is in the WWE, that's the World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Fame.
I think that's a trick question, but I'm going to go with true.
It is true.
Yay!
He was part of 2 WrestleManias. In fact, he actually shaved Vince McMahon's head.
So I only got 60%.
So you got a D. You don't
got a D.
You don't know Donald Trump the way you thought. But you did pretty darn good. I mean, honestly, trying to find it was probably harder. So anything else going on today?
No. Joe, who has appeared on been on our podcast, is back in town, and he's going to be staying with me beginning tomorrow night for about a week. So I'm looking forward to that.
Roommates, party time.
Party time.
We're gonna build a fort. We're gonna build a fort. We're gonna do crazy things. Maybe get some silly string. Start spraying them on each other. What do little boys do today? I don't even know what little kids do anymore.
They play on their phone.
Okay, that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Exactly.
I'm kind of delaying. So, do you know how they could reach out to us at all, or do you want me to do that?
You can do
Okay,
that.
I can do 2 things at once here. So feel free, reach out to us on Twitter. It's the best way, at Crotchety Old Men. That's at Crotchety Old Men on Twitter. And join us. We're closing in on 13,000 followers. We'd like more. And you can email us at wearecrotchetyoldmen@gmail.com. I know it's our old address. wearecrotchetyoldmen@gmail.com. And listen to us if you like it. Share us. If you hate us, call us, share us. We don't care. We'll talk to you. We have no problem. We'll host you. I have no problem whatsoever. But that's what it is. Anyway, enjoy the song. Once again, this is what my brother wanted us to hear.
Not too much power underneath Kamala's hood.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.